So SuccessFactors will send out notifications at the end of a workflow process for things like, okay, someone's being terminated. But what happens when we just want someone to be notified when a deadline is approaching? Say we have a work permit expiring and we want someone to know so that they can take action. That's the subject of today's session. We're going to look at what's known as alerts and notifications and see how we can set them up within SuccessFactors Employee Central. So let's get going.
Hi there, in today's exciting video, we're going to talk about alerts and notifications in Employee Central. So what the heck is this? Alerts and notifications is the process by which you can send out reminders to people based on information in the system. So this allows you to let people know if maybe a probationary period end date is coming up in the near future, and you want to flag that so that someone will know that and be able to take some action. What I'm going to do is just walk through the process. In my example, my use case is going to be a work permit is about to expire for someone, and we want to make sure that we're able to notify the person responsible, in this case the manager, allowing them to make any updates that they need to or address the situation. So but the two steps, or actually let's call it 3 steps on the front end that we have to do. First off, we have to create the error message, or actually not the error message, but the alert message that gets sent out to people. That will be the first step in the process because we have to refer to that in the business rule. So we might as well just create it up front. We create our messages that we want to send out through something called an alert message. In our case, I've already created it, and it's called the work permit expiration 10. So this is a alert message that will be sent out 10 days prior to an expiration. But like I said, in our example, here's what we have. I've already put this in. You have to put in a name, external code, and then basically the key parts here are the header, which that goes in your subject line. And then you have the alert description, and you can see what this looks like here, and including the placeholder for the user's name. And then you have the localized header and description. Of course, that's important because that allows us to have different translations depending on what languages are involved. So this is what the alert message looks like. So you have to create that up front. Now we're going to move on, and we're going to look at the business rule that we set up. I am going to go in to manage business configuration and show you the rule within the context. So I'm going to go in here to manage business configuration, and I'm going to go to work permit info. And you will see down here that I have a rule. The first thing to note here is that the event type that we use for this is not the on save that maybe we're used to or on init. This is the save alert. So maybe you've seen this in the drop down and you're like, what is that event type for? It's for your notifications that if you need to send them out. So in this case, we have this set to save alert as the rule. And now we're going to go in and look at the rule itself. So again, I created this ahead of time. All right, so here you can see the rule. And within the rule, you'll see that I've got an if condition that basically says if the document type equals work permit. So in other words, since there's multiple different types of documents that we can have on this portlet, I am just going to limit it down to just if your work permit type is, or if your document type is work permit. And then down here are my 3 conditions that I have to set. The first one is the message. So that's the alert message. And of course, we just created this, or actually I created it a long time ago, but we just looked at it before we moved over here. So you can see here, work permit X10, that's the alert message. Then the effective date. So the effective date just says, when do we want this to go out? We don't want it to go out on the expiration date. We want it to go 10 days before. And so we're using this date plus function to get us there. So date plus work, and then you can see that's the base date, and then we're going to send this 10 days prior to the expiration date. So that's what this all means. And last but not least is the workflow that we have to put in. So the workflows that we use for notifications, for these alerts and notifications, they're not true workflows in the sense that they're not going to have approval steps involved. In fact, you can't have approval steps involved in these workflows. The workflow has to be something that only has CC people in it. And so I'm going to spare us the time of going and looking at this workflow, but all that's in it is there is a CC in there, and the CC is to the manager. So we're specifying the role of manager. So in other words, this employee's manager would be receiving a notification. So that's pretty much it. And the workflow could, if you wanted to, you could have multiple CCs in there if you want. So you could have it go to the employee, you could go send it to dynamic role, to the to HR, to whoever. So there's a lot of options that you can have there. But again, all we're doing is we're just shooting out an email to various people. So that's that piece. Okay, so that's the business rule that we have set up. So again, the key parts to this are you have to put the message in, you got to say when it's going to go out, and then here's the workflow information itself. Okay, so the next part I'm going to, you know what, before I do, I'm about to jump in and look at the provisioning side of this, but in the interest of time, so I'm not skipping back and forth as much, I'm going to go on and I'm going to show you our test person that we are going to run this for, Scott Leiter. Okay, so we're going to go in and look at Scott Leiter. Again, this is a demo system, so all this data is just made up. You'll notice here Scott's looking a little nervous, a little worried. I'm wondering if he's worried about his work permit expiration happening. Maybe, but you can see here that we're going to get a chance to go in and look at this guy's information. You can see this is the work permit information, the document type, the document number, issue date, and then the key piece for our rule is the expiration date. So you can see the expiration date is set to April 14th. Today happens to be April 4th, which is 10 days prior to that. We have everything all set up so that the notification will be going out in just a moment. Okay, so that's what the employee's record looks like. Now we're going to jump over and we're going to look at provisioning. But what we do first is we set up the job. So I'm actually in provisioning. I'm going to go look at the job that we have set up. And so we go to manage scheduled jobs, and you can see here it's a real simple job that we have set up. I go to EC alerts and notifications. And you'll see here that I have this job. It runs periodically. I have this running nightly so that it would be sent out every day. And you can see here that it's just going to run since the last successful run. I've done some things behind the scenes to make sure that this runs again, even though it's already run once today. But under normal circumstances, this would run once a day, and it would go off and would look for all those different SaveAlert rules and figure out what employees actually meet those criteria. So that's what I'm about to show you right now. So I'm going to now go off and I'm going to actually just run this job once on demand. So when I click run it now, okay, so now I'm going to go to monitor jobs. Let's see if our job has run. And you can see here under monitor jobs, alerts and notifications, I will click on, and this job has run. You can see the detail. So I'm going to show you the detail on this. Job is completed, and you'll see that it's going through all the different portlets. And you can see here when it gets to work permit, it finds one alert checked, and then it finds one email to send. Therefore, the email must have gone out. Well, let's go look, and I will bring that over here and let you see what that looked like. So this is the email that went out. Again, this would have gone out to the manager of this employee, and this is the description that we put in here. It's got one of the limitations of alerts is it's got to be limited to about 255 characters just by virtue of the way that the alert messages work. So it's going to be a very short message that you're going to be getting across, but it should be enough information so that you can give somebody a heads up so that they can take whatever steps are necessary. Additionally, something that I tend to not do, but some people will do, you can also set this up so that it will create to-dos in the system as well. But for the most part, what I end up doing is I just set up these emails, these expiration emails that go out. So anyway, that is how to set up your alerts and notifications within SuccessFactors. Hopefully you found that useful. Thanks a lot.